what pornography is actually stealing from you, and why it was designed that way. Let me start with something most men are not going to want to admit. Most men who are sitting with a porn habit right now would never describe themselves as addicted. They would never walk into a room of people and say something has control over them, because it does not feel like an addiction. It feels like a choice, a release, something harmless that they can pick up and put down whenever they decide to. But here is what is actually happening underneath that feeling. Their testosterone is being suppressed, their brain is being rewired, their sexual performance is deteriorating, their drive and ambition are draining out of them. Their physical presence is dimming in ways people around them can feel but cannot name. And their ability to connect with a real woman in a real way is being quietly destroyed every single time they go back to that screen. And most of them have no idea any of it is happening because it has become so normalized they have stopped being able to see it. Tonight I am going to give you the full picture, the biology, the neuroscience, the spiritual reality, and the truth about what this industry is actually doing to men, because this is not a morality lecture. This is a conversation about power and what is being stolen from you. Let me start with how men are actually built, because this is the foundation of everything. Men are wired for sexual variety. That is not a flaw. That is not something to be ashamed of. That is ancient biological design that goes back to the beginning of human existence. A man's sexual drive, his desire to pursue, to conquer, to have more than one woman, is the same energy that built civilizations. The same obsessive fire that makes a man want to pursue a woman with everything he has is the same energy that, when redirected, builds businesses, creates legacies, drives men to do extraordinary things in the world. Napoleon Hill wrote about this in Think and Grow Rich and called it sexual transmutation. He studied the most successful men in history and found one common thread. They were not men who suppressed their sexual drive. They were men who redirected it. That burning desire, that obsessive pursuing energy, when it has nowhere to go, it chases women or it drains into screens. When it gets channeled into a mission, into a purpose, into building something that outlasts the man, it produces kings. That fuel is the most powerful creative force a man possesses, and pornography has figured out how to take that fuel and drain it for free. Every single time a man sits down in front of that screen and releases, he is making a withdrawal from the most powerful account he has, and he is getting absolutely nothing in return. Now let me get into the biology specifically, because this is where most conversations about this topic stop being honest. There is documented research showing that men who abstain from, but it goes even deeper than testosterone, because pornography does not just affect hormones. It restructures the brain. The mechanism is dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, reward, and pleasure. Every time a man watches pornography, his brain releases a dopamine spike. Not a natural spike, an unnatural one. A spike that is higher than almost any experience available in real life. And the brain responds to that spike the same way it responds to cocaine and heroin. It downregulates. It reduces the number of dopamine receptors to compensate for the flood. Now, the man needs more stimulation to feel the same response. More extreme content, more variety, more novelty. He does not choose to escalate. His brain chemistry demands it. And this is where men end up somewhere they never planned to be. Nobody starts at the extreme end. Nobody opens a browser and goes straight to the most degrading content available. They start somewhere that seemed harmless. And over time, the brain's tolerance builds and the content escalates, and the man finds himself consuming things that a part of him knows are wrong and cannot understand how he got there. The addiction walked him there one small step at a time, and now he is in something he does not know how to get out of. And the dopamine downregulation does not stay on the screen. It follows him into real life, into real intimacy, into his real relationship. A man who has been feeding his brain unnatural dopamine spikes through pornography starts finding real women less stimulating. Not because the woman is less, because his brain has been calibrated to a level of novelty and variety that no real woman can match. Real intimacy requires presence, vulnerability, connection. It does not provide the constant novelty the addicted brain has been trained to need, and so his performance suffers. His desire for real intimacy decreases. He is in a relationship or he has access to a real woman and his body does not respond the way it should. And this is happening to men in their 20s and 30s right now at rates that were almost unheard of in previous generations. Porn-induced erectile dysfunction is a clinical reality destroying men in silence. Men who are young, who are physically healthy, who have no medical reason for the problem, but whose brains have been so thoroughly rewired by pornography that real women cannot produce the same response a screen does. And the man sits with that shame alone because he cannot tell anyone what is actually happening or what is actually causing it. Now let me talk about something that most people in this conversation never bring up because it requires paying attention to things that are not immediately obvious. A man who retains his sexual energy looks different, not metaphorically, physically. His skin changes, his eyes carry a different sharpness and brightness, his voice deepens and carries more weight when he speaks, his physical presence in a... Now I want to address the men who have convinced themselves they are the exception. The man who says he does not cheat, who presents himself as completely faithful, who says he has no desire for other women, and in private, hidden, goes to a screen and consumes every variety of woman he can find. Different types, different scenarios, everything his biology has been wired to want. And he calls it harmless because no physical act took place. Let me be clear about something. You are feeding a desire. You are fantasizing about women who are not your woman. You are releasing the energy that belongs to your relationship onto a screen. And you are lying to your woman and to yourself about what you are doing and what it is doing to you. The lie is not in the watching. Men want variety. That is real, and I have never pretended otherwise. The lie is in pretending it has no effect, that it does not shape how you see women, that it does not affect your performance, that it does not drain your energy, that it does not build a wall between you and genuine intimacy. It does all of those things, every single one. And the man who has the courage to be honest about that is the man who actually has a chance to do something about it. And since we are being honest, I want to address women too, because women are not sitting outside of this conversation looking in. Women who claim they have no desires beyond their man, who present themselves as completely content, who say they would never fantasize about anyone else, and they open a screen and watch the men they actually desire. Not their man, the dominant, powerful, high-value men that their hypergamous instinct was always pointed toward. The men they wanted and could not get or did not choose. They settled for what was available, and they feed what they actually wanted on a screen in private. The fantasy is running in both directions. Men feeding variety, women feeding hypergamy. Both of them doing it behind a screen while pretending to the person next to them that no such desire exists. I am not saying this to condemn anyone. I am saying it because the truth is the only foundation anything real can be built on. Now let me take this somewhere that the king-level mindset audience needs to hear clearly. This is not just a biological conversation. This is a spiritual one. And I want to be direct about it. The enemy knows exactly what a man's sexual energy is capable of. He knows that a man who has that energy directed, disciplined, and channeled into his purpose is a threat to everything the kingdom of darkness is trying to build in this world. A man operating at his full power spiritually, mentally, physically, building his legacy, raising his children in truth, leading his household, is dangerous to everything that opposes the kingdom of God. So what do you do to neutralize that man before he becomes what he was created to be? You give him a counterfeit. You give him something that takes the most powerful. And here is something that does not get talked about enough. The pornography industry is not passive. It did not accidentally become the most consumed media category on the internet. It was engineered to be exactly what it is, the same psychological architecture that makes the most addictive apps in the world hard to put down. Novelty, variable reward, endless variety, algorithmic escalation is built into every pornography platform that exists. They are not making content and hoping men find it. They are deliberately engineering addiction by exploiting male biological design. They know men want variety. They know the brain habituates. They know escalation follows tolerance. And they build their platforms specifically to accelerate all of it. Men are not consumers in that transaction. They are the product. Their attention, their time, their energy, their sexual vitality being harvested and monetized. Every man sitting in front of that screen thinking he is choosing entertainment is actually being farmed. And the most tragic part is he is paying for the privilege with the most valuable thing he has. And I need to say something about our sons, because this is where the conversation becomes about more than individual men. The average age of first exposure to pornography right now is approximately 11 years old. 11. These are boys who have not yet had their first real relationship, who do not understand what real women are, who do not know what real intimacy feels like, who have not developed the emotional or mental framework to process what they are seeing, and their sexual wiring is being formed and shaped by the most extreme content available before any of that foundation exists. An entire generation of young men is being calibrated by pornography before they have ever experienced real love, before they know what respect for a woman actually looks like, before they understand what it means to be a man who protects and provides. They are being handed a distortion as their first reference point, and then we wonder why relationships are breaking down at every level. If you are a father watching this is not a future problem. This is happening right now in your house on devices you probably pay for. That conversation with your son is not optional. That is part of what it means to lead. Now let me talk about something that lives underneath all of this that nobody wants to name directly. A man carrying a hidden porn habit cannot be fully present anywhere. He is the man his family sees and his woman sees and his co-workers see. And underneath that public face, he is carrying something he has never told anyone about. That split creates a fracture inside him that quietly weakens everything. His confidence, his ability to lead with full authenticity, his presence as a father, his authority as a man. Because a man who is hiding something from the people closest to him is spending energy on that concealment constantly. He cannot. Here is what I want every man watching this to understand. This is not a conversation about being perfect. It is not about condemnation. It is about power. It is about understanding what you were built for and what is being taken from you without your full understanding or consent. The most dangerous version of you, the man with the fire in his eyes, the presence that changes a room, the drive that does not stop, the sexual energy that has been transmuted into something that builds a kingdom. That version of you is being suppressed by a habit that has been engineered specifically to suppress it. The men who figure this out and do something about it do not just perform better in the bedroom. They perform better in every single area of their life. Their testosterone rises, their drive returns, their presence changes, their skin clears, their eyes sharpen, their voice carries more weight, their relationships deepen, their purpose becomes clearer. Not because they became someone different, because they stopped draining who they already were. A king does not drain his own kingdom, not for entertainment, not for a momentary release, not for a counterfeit version of something he was designed to experience in fullness with a real woman in a real relationship. Guard the gate, guard the energy, build with what was designed to build. The men who understand this operate at a level most men will never reach because most men are spending their greatest power on a screen for free and calling it nothing. Walk with God while you work for the crown. When he crowns you king, tell the world of the truth you found. That's king-level mindset. Kings don't beg, kings don't bow, kings build.